I know I already posted like 2 videos yesterday and 1 today, and this one's probably going to go out today. Today is Friday. I might put it tomorrow though. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I just finished reading this book, and since I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to turn the camera around. Okay, so this is the book I just finished reading. I don't know why I turned my camera sideways. You guys can't see that. This is the... Too many years taking pictures. This is a book I just finished reading, and I started reading it because it's Kaz on Little Book Owl, who I've mentioned before, her like read-along book club thing that she does. This is the one they're reading for like May, June, or June, July, one of those. So I ordered it to read, and I started reading it, and I was only a few pages in, and I was hooked. And I've been in kind of a reading slump, so I've been kind of spotty with it, but I was up until 2 a.m. reading it last night, and I just finished off the end of it, and I have to do a review on this. I can't not do a review on this, because this book is awesome, amazing. If you like mythology, if you like anything like that, if you like kind of books that have lots of different mythological figures in them, I would read this. If you like the Immortal Nicholas Flamel series, I would read this. If you like the Everworld series, I would totally read this. I would just read this in general. I'm gonna make Alex read it. I found out that it's not a series, it's a duology when I put it on Goodreads, so I do have the second book ordered. I guess it still counts as a duology because there's like a novella, but there's 2 books and then a novella that goes in between them. But I have those ordered from the library. This one, it has a lot of gods from all over the world, but you will enjoy it a lot if you are into Norse mythology, which really hit because that's the thing I've been into more lately. I've always been interested in mythology in general, but I've been more interested in Norse mythology. So I'm going to warn you guys first off, this is probably going to be a long video. It might not be terribly long. I don't know. I'm also going to warn you, this is going to have spoilers. I've got to tell you guys how awesome this book is, but I can't do it without spoilers. So you've hit the part where the spoilers are about to start to happen. You've heard this book. It's called, I haven't even said the name of the book yet. It's American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. I've never read one of his books, just seen like Doctor Who episodes he's done, of course. And this is amazing. You should read this book. Totally read this book. If you read this book and do a review on it, even if it's not a YouTube, if it's a blog post or whatever, link it down in the comments. I totally want to see that. I'm going to go ahead and say now, if you haven't already smacked the big red subscribe button, go ahead and do that, because it's, I appreciate it a lot, and when I do get more subscribers, I have a lot more fun things I want to do, and I'm planning on doing a Q&A at 50 subscribers, so there's that. Now, if you haven't read this book, go read the book and then come back to the video, because this is going to have spoilers. So you've hit the spoilery part, so I'm going to give you a second to go exit out of the video and everything so you don't hear anything. Okay, so I'm going to start with the spoilers. The first, I was still in the first chapter, is when I got hooked on it. And it said, it was just like random people and everything, and then this person, this dude, is like, you can call me Mr. Wednesday, although with the weather and it was all storming outside, it would be more like Thursday. He said something about today's my name, you can call me Mr. Wednesday, that sort of thing. And I called Alex, because he knows more about Norse mythology than I do. And I'm like, Alex, okay, I know Thursday is Thor's day, and that's where that came from, and Thor and Thunder, okay, everything that makes sense. I know Wednesday is somebody, I forgot who it is, and he's like, well, Odin, because Odin used to also be called Woden, it was Wednesday. So like, okay, it's Odin. Oh, this book is about Odin. Oh my gosh, I have to finish reading this. And, so I got really into it, and it's weird for me to be telling spoilers, because I'm usually so careful about not doing it, but I warned you guys that there were spoilers. I'm reading the end of this book, right? Alex has passed out because he's He had to have a tooth pulled yesterday, and he's still recovering from that. And I accidentally woke him up because I just kept hollering at my book. It's one of those books you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, that just happened. So, seriously, if you guys haven't read this book, don't listen to these spoilers because I'm totally going to tell you what happens at the end of it. So, if you haven't read it, don't listen to these. They'll ruin the book for you. You have to go read the book. So I started hollering, it's Loki, and all this. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, go back to sleep, it's my book. He's like, okay. And it happened again. Freaking Loki. You think, okay, I don't even know how to describe it. There's like not words. You think, it's one of those books where you think it's one thing and you get the hang of what's going on. And then it's not. You think in this book that it's like old gods versus new gods and they're all going to fight and it's going to be a big battle at the end. Sort of. But not. It's freaking Loki. They have Odin, or Mr. Wednesday, because there is like different versions. You'll see that in the epilogue. There's still the old Odin over in Iceland, and then there's what we have is Mr. Wednesday, who came here to America, and he's a bit different. And they exist independently of each other, but they started out as the same person. It's complicated, you just have to read it. But you have Mr. Wednesday, who's a version of Odin, trying to get all the old gods together to go against the new gods. And you get Mr. World, who ends up being freaking Loki. Loki, who I originally thought this other dude named Zernoborg, who I'm probably butchering his name, I originally thought he was Loki, but then at the end of the book I'm thinking he's Thor, or maybe he's like a Russian variation that's like the two of them combined. I don't even know who he is. I've got to look that up and see if I can find some info on that, but it's like, my mind's still twisting with that. So he's not Loki. I originally thought he was Loki, but he's not. Or if he is, he's just a different variation. But freaking Loki is running the thing with the new gods, trying to get them to go against the old gods. And basically, it ends up as they don't care. They just want a bunch of them to die, and then they're going to dedicate the battle to Odin because they're going to throw a branch from the world tree, Yggdrasil, or one of the world trees, a Yggdrasil. Or, would it be An? I guess a Y is a vowel in that form. An Yggdrasil? There's an Yggdrasil in Virginia, and they get a branch from it, and they're gonna like throw it, and it turns into a spear, and they're gonna dedicate the battle to Odin, and him and Odin are both gonna get like a bunch more power because it'll be dedicated to them and sacrificed and all that. And it basically, it's totally messed up. I just realized I'm holding the camera sideways. Basically gets totally messed up by Shadow, the main character, his dead wife. And we find out in the end that Shadow is actually Odin's son, or Mr. Wednesday's son. So, yeah. It's really complicated. I had to do the spoilers because freaking Loki. Freaking Loki. And it all makes sense. You start to see it coming together. And it might take an extra minute if you're not as familiar with the mythology. But, I mean, anybody that's even just seen the Marvel movies will start to get it. And I woke Alex up and I'm like, I started to get it, and I was like, but I don't understand. He had like scars around his mouth, and he said somebody sewed his mouth shut a long time ago. I'm like, I don't remember that being a thing. So I poked Alex and I woke him up. I'm like, Alex, did Loki get his mouth sewn shut? And he said, yeah, and then he told me all about it, and apparently it was a dwarf, which all I needed was the yes. I'm like, that's freaking Loki. But he said it was a dwarf, and I'm like, I couldn't remember the name, but I was trying to figure out if it's the same dwarf that's like a big dwarf, like my height of a dwarf. I'm 5'8". I just lost my train of thought. If it was that dwarf that did it, and if it was, that'd be like really cool tying together. But there's like, there's Egyptian gods. Now there's Thoth, Horus, and Bast. Egyptian gods. Those are in there. There's Easter or Ishtar, although they never call her Ishtar, they only call her Easter, but there's Ishtar. There's Anansi. Sorry, I'm poking through the book. Oh, Anubis. Anubis is in there as well as the other one. Some of them, like, end up dying, and, I'm trying to find, I think you say, okay, there's the dwarf, Alvis. I'll look that up, but there's, and you see the Norns at the World Tree, and, I already said Anansi, and when a bunch of the gods come together, there's Johnny Appleseed. When a bunch of the gods come together at the end, there's, I think you say Rushakas, there's Ganesh, there's gods from all over the world. There's, I couldn't remember the name of it. I know it starts with a K. It's the fox ones, the white foxes from Japan. If somebody knows that off the top of their head, throw that in the comments, because I can't think of the name of it, and it's driving me nuts. They're, oh, it's just totally escaped me. I know I've read it. But anyway, there's just so many things. And I love reading stuff like this. And it's like all these gods and mythological characters and whatever you can call them that I recognize. And then there's ones that I don't. Or there's ones that I can't place. Because sometimes they've got like modernized names, you know, like Easter. There's ones that I can't place. And I'm just like, who are you? Who are you? So, but how there are more than one version of, like, Odin, for example, is, some, I don't want to say Vikings, because not all of them were Vikings. That's a whole historical thing, Alex, you can get into with Alex. But, like, some of the group of people that believed in Odin and Loki and Thor and all of them, some of them stayed in Iceland, Denmark, or Norway, or wherever they were. And that's how, like, the ones that settled in Iceland, their belief in Odin made that Odin. And the ones that came over here to America, their belief in Odin made the Mr. Wednesday Odin. So it's just stuff like that. It's really cool. Totally read this book. If you haven't read this book, you should not have been watching the tail of this video, because I didn't want to spoil it for you guys. But read this book, tell me what you think about it. If you do reviews, whether they're YouTube or not, post them, show me, I'd love to see those. Yeah, I am planning on reading the novella and the second book. I don't know if I'm going to do a review on those. But I had to do a review on this one because it was just so good. It's one of those books where I just want to, like, grab everybody I know and shake them and be like, read this book, read this book. It's one of those books that's so good that I must buy a copy and own this book, and that doesn't happen very often. Like, there are books that I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get that, it's like $1 or whatever, but this is one, like, I have to have this book on my bookshelf. Sorry, book. Don't mean to strangle you. But I'm going to shut up now and work on the next book that I need to read, because, well, that I want to read, whatever. I have a hair in my hand. Okay. I'm going to go put this review up. I'm going to shut up now, put this review up, and read some more, because I'm like, I think my reading slump just got its butt kicked out the window. It got defenestrated. There we go. So, bye!